Hello, welcome to Studio Nicole. I am Nicole and I am so glad that you're here. I have a ton of stuff on my desk for a new project. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that I'm already in the middle of 17 other projects. And that is a true statement, but I can't resist the energy and excitement of a new project. So here we go. There is an online is it a course? Is it a class? Is it a workshop? I don't know. I don't know what to call it. It's called BB Bash, like B, the letter B, the letter B Bash. And it is being run by BB Henry, a mixed media artist. And I have been seeing the ads for weeks. And there is it is a free 2 week, 14-day workshop, I guess. And the colors in the ads just got me, man. They just jumped right out and got me. And I loved the excitement of that, new project energy, the bright colors. It just made me happy. And so I was like, well, why not? So I am diving in. I did take the lifetime access version of it instead of it just expiring in 14 days, because I know I'm not going to be able to do very much of that workshop in 14 days. So I did sign up for the lifetime access so that I would be able to come back to this maybe in the summer, when I'm not working full time, so that I'll have a little bit more time to play around with some of the ideas. But I do want to get into it a little bit, and it starts today. And so yesterday I spent a lot of time picking out a color palette. Now I had decided on these blues and pinks and deep plums with just a couple of light variations thrown in for a little bit of contrast, and of course black and white always. So these are color cards from Sarah Renee Clark's Color Cube. Let me clip these on here so I don't lose them. I actually have three of her color cubes. This is the one that these came out of. This is number 4. And if you've never seen a color cube before, then it looks kind of like this. And all of these are color palettes. Right. And so you get an opportunity to sort of go through and look for, let me turn it around this way so that we're pulling them out facing the right way. You can go through and pull all kinds of different color palettes. There. Um, it helps if you are kind of indecisive, or sometimes it helps you to get out of your comfort zone and pick colors that you don't normally use. Now I definitely use these colors, which is funny because I used to really dislike pink a lot, and now I find that it shows up in a lot of my work. Oh, look, the color palette. um you know but it just made me happy, this collection of colors, and so that's what I'm going with. What I have done so far to prepare, that's what I wanted to share in this video today. And this would work obviously for the BB Bash workshop, but this will also work for you anytime you're trying to start a creative project and you have an idea in mind and you want something to feel cohesive and put together. My encouragement to you would be to choose a limited color palette. So just pick a handful of colors that all look good together. And honestly, I'm not sure that the colors are being captured on the recording perfectly, because this looks pretty like red, like a warm red on the screen, but in um in real life it is dogwood rose is the color, and it's definitely it skews more pink, more purpley. So yeah, so these are the colors that I'm going with. um So what I started doing was I started pulling out anything that I had in my stash that fit one of these colors. And I do have a pretty big selection of scraps. This is one of the collage clusters um, that I made out of my collage bin, and it just happens to be in this color palette. There are some cut pieces that are really just scraps. I've got a little bit of um, like netting. It's not cheesecloth. It's not cheesecloth. Tulle. That's the word I'm looking for. Some scraps, even some like painted, like these are like scraps from the background. I do have this is a Lindor chocolate bag that I stuck in my stash because I thought it might make an interesting piece in a junk journal someday. I've got some textured paper here, some scrapbook paper, some fabric. Like these are just some ribbons and that deep plum, some tissue paper. All right, it's a mulberry paper. It's wild, right? What's in here? Anything under the sun that I could get my hands on. Anything that I thought fit this color palette came out and ended up in the bin. So I have a ton of random things. I don't know if I will use all of these or some of these, but I love having sort of a curated collection of supplies handy and ready to go for whatever project comes my way. I am also very, very excited. Let me tuck this back in here. I'm also very excited because I found a whole stash of this. Sorry, the pieces are all sticking to each other. I found a whole stash of this wrapping paper. You may have noticed in my in one of my previous videos on the Cascade Journal where I talked about this wrapping paper. It was from my sister's baby shower when she had my niece. And my niece is now 16 and getting her driver's license. So it's been a long time ago. I bought this roll of wrapping paper and I gave her several gifts. And then I kind of stole the wrapping paper back afterwards. I'm sure she kept a little bit of it, like for sentimental reasons or whatever, but she didn't want it, nearly quite the way I did. So it still has the tape on it, like it's still taped closed. But find, oh, I did find a whole bag, a whole stash of this. And I am very excited about that because it happens to be some of my favorite wrapping paper, like ever, 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 ever. And I thought I had used the last of it. I had a little tiny scrap. I was hoarding it and I hadn't used it. And I was like, oh, this is the last piece of the wrapping paper. And then when I was digging through like some drawers that I just haven't gone through much, I found the whole thing. So I'm very excited to add this into the project, but also I'll be using it in some other projects as well because I absolutely love it. So that's the paper and the color palette. Moving that aside, what else is on my desk here are some handmade scraps. These are stamped scraps with paint splatters and um, there's some different stamping and some different they're just kind of messy. I did a whole video about how I made these. Actually, it might have been a short. Oh my gosh, I can't figure out how to open the bag. It might have been a short. So there might not be like a real in-depth tutorial, but it's not hard to figure out. You just rip the scraps up and throw some paint and ink on them and then stamp them. And so I have those in blue and pink to go with my color palette. I'm going to talk about these in a second. I did go through some of my handmade ephemera, and I pulled out a few things that I thought specifically would work, like the color palette would work. These are Oh gosh. So these are so what I did with these was I had a piece of paper and I put washi tape across the paper in lines, and then on the back I drew some leaf shapes, and then I cut them out. And now they look like this. I actually have a whole kind of pile of these, but I just grabbed a couple of them. And I think this is an awesome project, and it really turns out some interesting looking ephemera. So I grabbed a couple of those because they match. This is a tag that I created at some point. It looks like it was on the back of a calendar. Um, I have some watercolor ephemera. These were from, I want to say, fodder school with Willow Wanders. So there are some flowers in the color palette. There are some parts in the same color palette. These are just watercolor with some splatters. And then these are some stamped feathers. There's just one. I do like to carve stamps, and so I have this somewhere in here. Maybe is my carved feather stamp. I'm going to make a mess trying to find it though. There it is. So this is just lino, and I just use like a stamp carving tool and carve the stamp. And so this is this in blue. I have it in many different colors. I've stamped a bunch of these and then cut them out, and I just grabbed a blue one because I had a lot of pink and I wanted some contrast. I do have a bunch of other stamps that I've carved. That's a fun project for another day. But yeah, so I just grabbed a little bit of handmade ephemera, some things that I thought would fit on the in this project, in this color palette. And and then I started gathering supplies, and this is so fun. This is so like aesthetically pleasing because it's all kinds of supplies, but all in the color palette. So I have some ink sprays, some mica sprays. These are Jane Davenport Incredible Inks. I've got a couple of different colors of those. I have some Distress Oxide ink pads, oxide pads, and some ink pads. And that midnight blue, I think, is going to be great for this project. I grabbed a ton of pens and markers and things, all in blues and purples and pinks. So I've got some metallics, some heavier stuff, some brush markers, and some really thin pens. Of course, I have some acrylic inks. I've got blue Bombay India ink and red violet, as well as Daler Rowney's. I can't find the color on this. It's like a plum. It's like a really deep purple. Oh, purple lake is what it says. Black ink, of course, because you always have that. I have some gelatos. These are Faber-Castell gelatos. And I again chose some blues, some purples, and some pinks. These will be a lot of fun. I don't work with these very much, so I was excited to pull them out for this project because like I just think it's fun to kind of get into supplies that you maybe don't use very often. These are the Brea Reese alcohol inks and glitter inks. They were already on my desk from the weekly journal that I just created. I do still also have some of these other things sitting here, like the black golden fluid and the white ink. And those, of course, I can kind of spread out and use. I grabbed these Lunar Paste by Simon Hurley. Is that right? Yes, Simon Hurley Lunar Paste in Crown Me and No Diving, which really is blue and purple. They don't look very different on the recording, but they are very different in person. I don't know. I don't know how to get the color accurate on my recording. I only grabbed a couple of washi tapes because a lot of my washi's are like mounted on rails on my on the crate it's like the foldable create room I can't remember what it's called, Dream Box. That's what it's called. So they're already mounted, and I didn't want to like unmount them and like unthread everything and take them down to put them in this bin. But they're here and they're behind me, and they're organized by color, so they'll be easy to grab the ones that I need. So those are my like art supplies that I plan on using. I've got my papers, a few pieces of ephemera, and then one of the things that the one of the first like prep assignments in the bash is to create what BB calls Franken papers. And this is just taking scraps of paper and gluing them together, or using tape, or I've used staples in several places because I have my little stapler handy and it has blue staples in it. And the blue really matched the color palette. So I just thought that was a nice little addition. So I created a whole stack of Franken papers, and these are just, I just used a glue stick. I went through almost an entire glue stick. It's about done. I've got some parchment paper, some calendar pages, book pages, some scraps. There's some vintage washi tape. I did incorporate some pink background paper because pink was such a primary color in my color palette that I thought I could include that in my background. So my backgrounds aren't entirely neutral. I love the pieces that have holes punched or that have pieces cut out of them. Like, I love this. These are just the little holes that would go in the binder, but I don't know. I love the texture of it. There's something about it that makes me happy. This one is very neutral, but there's a little bag that kind of like serves as a pocket here, and I just tucked in a little order receipt paper. Um, this piece is folded over, so there's some added texture on this side. I used this washi tape here kind of throughout on several different pieces so that it helps to like hold the pieces into a cohesive collection because we're seeing sort of the same patterns. Like, here's those blue staples again, here's some of that. This these parchment paper details are kind of repetitive. And there are definitely elements that kind of carry through to hold all of these pieces sort of together. More of this like fringe element. These are super fun. I did just use my hole puncher and kind of punch some holes in some that I thought were maybe a little visually boring. Um, I was using a lot of really like scraps. Like this was, I just found this in my yard. It's a piece of post office garbage. Really. It's been in my stash for months, probably years, honestly, but I had just picked it up out of my yard, and I love paper, and I love like aged old paper. I just want to share this, make sure I'm covering anything up that might be of use. Um, this is a like somebody's canceled check that again ended up in my yard. Um, it's I'm not trying to like steal anyone's identity, but it's just interesting paper to me. And so it goes in my stash, and someday I'll use it. And maybe that someday will be soon since it's in this active pile. More texture along the side, more pink. This is tea dyed paper, but it's not tea, obviously, it's colored. This was a piece that I clearly had cut something out of. I love the shape of this. So yeah, so this Franken paper just makes me so happy. I think this was actually seeing the Franken paper and seeing the color palette were the things that really like tipped me over the edge. I don't really need a new project right now, but I desperately want one. So here we go. And I've never done this challenge or workshop before, so I have no idea what I'll be creating or how it's going to work. All I've seen are the advertisements. But it looks fun, and why not? So I'm excited to get into it. I have two other creative projects that I want to start kind of floating around in my head, and I'm trying to think of a way to sort of like bring them to fruition. I really want to start creating a commonplace book. I love the idea of it. I watched a few videos recently that, again, they kind of spark some excitement. And all the gears in my brain start clinking, um, and I just want to like jump into it. But I am hesitating on that project just because I don't have a clear path. I don't have a clear strategy for how I want to handle it, what I want to put in it. I like for I like for each piece of my art to feel cohesive. Um, Not that all of my art across the board feels like it's all the same, but if I'm working in this journal, I want it to have this specific aesthetic. Let me show you what I mean. Let me find a couple of examples that I think. Ooh, all right. So, for example, I have a bunch of stuff here. So this is I'm calling it my stick and plonk journal in honor of Adele from Inky Quill, because I love that expression. And this is just where I like cram in anything that I encounter in my daily life. Just little bits and bobs of paper, things that don't have like a cohesive feel. All right. So that's what this feels like. But then I have this journal that my husband got me, and I don't work in it super often, but when I do, it has a very, very specific feeling. I do a lot of hand journaling, I do a lot of layering. It's very vintagey. It has like a specific aesthetic. So that's as far as I've gotten in this one. I have lots of ideas for this, but I don't work in it super often. And then I have like a more memory keeping type journal. And all of these pages feel very similar. Um, so you can see what I mean by the aesthetic of the project itself, is sort of a microcosm of art versus my entire collection, which is very eclectic. And I just haven't nailed down the feel of the commonplace book, the colors, the way I want to do the pages, what I want to put in it. Right now it's all kind of just floating around in my head and I'm trying to pin it down. I am excited about it though. The other project is an adventure journal, and I think that I maybe perhaps might want to use this recording tape index that I bought at a yard sale probably a couple of years ago now. Well, maybe not. Maybe not that long. I don't know. I just like the idea that I like the clip in and clip out pages because then I can work out of order, but then I can put pages in order later if I want to, like chronologically maybe. But I would like to create a journal that sort of documents all of the adventures and travel and um, just like the fun of life. It's a really big part of my life and what motivates me and keeps me excited and happy. And I just think it would be you know, a great reason for a journal, right? Like a great thing to look back on and flip back through someday. I think it would be fun. It would be more in the vein of like memory keeping and documenting life with photos and things, more like a scrapbook, although it's clearly not scrapbooking like in the traditional sense. So more scrapbooking or travel journaling than mixed media art. But I haven't come up with an aesthetic for that I feel really comfortable with. I also am having a little bit of hesitation just in like pulling all of because those adventures go back years, and I don't know, do I want to print photos or do I want to do it on paper? So I haven't nailed down the details on either of those two projects yet, but they are both giving me lots of like new project energy, that needs to go somewhere. And so here is where it is going for now. For at least the next 2 weeks or so, I am going to jump right in and I'm just going to follow along with this workshop and see what comes out of it. I obviously am not going to record, myself working through any of these lessons or workshops, but I will maybe do some shorts and kind of show off some of the finished products. And if it sounds interesting to you and it sounds like something you want to do, I don't think it's too late to join. It starts today. Today is February 1st, 2026. But I'll put a link in the description and you can look it up if it's something that you're interested in. And maybe we can kind of like follow along together and see what we're doing. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day. I hope whatever crafty creative project you're into is giving you lots of good energy right now. I feel super excited and I'm very energized. And I hope that you've got some of that going on in your life as well. And if you don't, I hope you have it soon. I hope that comes to you. If you like this video, please do like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate all of the feedback and input that I'm getting. And I am really excited that this creative community is growing every day. So thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video.